WLPNLP Chicago 105.5 FM Lumpy Radio News from the Service Entrance Radio Show. What's up, everybody? It's Mario. How you doing? Hope everybody is having a great afternoon. It is an absolutely beautiful weather day. We will get into that later on. It's really nice out. A little chilly. Well, windy. Wear a coat.
It's gusty.
Gusty. If I was Ray Renner, I'd tell you wear a sweater or a jacket. But it's a little bit cooler than that. Wear a coat. Don't be like people when it was hot for like 2 days.
Don't wear shorts.
Fake spring?
Yeah,
oh, God. Fake spring got you. But all of that being said, enjoy the day. It's a beautiful day outside. Take us with you, lumpinradio.com, and you can always go to lumpin.tv and see the show. And if you turn on lumpin.tv right now, here at WLPNOP Chicago 105.5 FM Lumpin Radio, you will see Alderman Nicole Lee has joined us. She is in studio along with Jamie Trecker and myself. How you doing?
I'm good. Glad to be here. How are you?
I'm cool. It is really good to see you. It's been a while.
It has been a minute.
You've won an election since the last time I saw you.
Indeed, I did.
We were in here rooting hard for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm glad that worked out. That they need you down there.
Well, I appreciate that. It's been almost 2 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It has been, yeah.
Yeah, as well. And you were here the day it happened.
Yes, I was.
You were, yeah.
Yeah, the day it happened. So there's a lot to talk about. I want to start off by talking about the Ramova and how that has lit a spark on that part of Bridgeport, and how important it is to the community to have the Ramova open again. What has been your experience in watching that all happen, and have you had a chance to go and hang out?
Yes, I have. I was there for the New Year's Eve party.
Okay.
Yes.
Look at you.
It is gorgeous inside. I never had the opportunity to go there as a kid, so I don't know what it was like before, though I've heard many stories.
Some of the stories are less savory than others.
Yes. I thought about going there, but I'm not. I think the key takeaway here, though, is that it is a magnificent redevelopment. I couldn't be more thrilled to be the alderman of to have this theater in our ward. A $32 million redevelopment project where the developers are a vibrant part of our community. They moved here into Bridgeport. Their kids go to school here. They have investors from the community. In fact, the majority of the investors are actually from the community. So I think it's a really shining example of what's possible on redevelopments like this, where the community is an integral part, and it's going to bolster redevelopment and economic development along that corridor. So one of the things that I did recently was to do a map amendment. For some time, several of the properties just across the street from the Ramova were zoned residential, single family, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
I couldn't. So, one of the things that I did was went ahead and we did a map amendment to upzone to ensure that the property owners could market their properties to business owners. We want people to know Bridgeport is open for business. I hear time and time again from residents that they want a neighborhood that's walkable, with things to go to, places to see, places to eat, things that they can just sort of live their lives with.
And I will say that it's been very impressive in, and I think Pat deserves some credit, your predecessor.
100%.
But in the last couple of years, we've seen an explosion of businesses open up on Halstead. Everything from a number of restaurants to the bookstore. Finally, a lot of the places that for many years when I first moved here that were closed now are opening and are servicing the public. How much of that is due to the fact that people knew the Ramova project was going to happen? Is that something that also can be a model for development again in this community and other communities in Chicago?
Yeah, so I want to acknowledge my predecessor, Patrick Daley Thompson, for all the work he did. He got this off the ground. I happened to get it across the finish line. It was right there set up for me. I just made sure we got it across the finish line, and couldn't appreciate more the work that he did to lay the groundwork for that. And I do think it's a model that can be used to replicate this and have more businesses open up. I absolutely think that the Ramova's presence and what the possibility of that was spurred more businesses to either invest here, people to purchase properties, in anticipation of higher values once everything opened up with the theater. So I think we have only good things ahead of us.
There's an elephant in the room, and that elephant is a 100-year-old plus baseball franchise that has machinations, whether real or imagined, beautiful renderings, on moving to the 78. The White Sox are as big a part of Bridgeport as anything could possibly be. To dig into that a little bit deeper, the current owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, has not really made a big investment in the community. Had he, I think maybe there would be a little bit more of an outcry of don't leave. I don't really hear a lot of that. I hear more like, if you're going to go, stay in Chicago. It's literally 20 minutes away. It would be interesting to see how people get there. I know there's public transit already, but it's hard on Clark and Roosevelt to get there now, to do things around there now. And Jamie and I are going to kind of bog down on this because this is a very important thing.
Absolutely.
I'm more like, well, how do you see it as, okay, if they leave, it's an opportunity for us to really develop Bridgeport more with that edifice there around it and finding a way to repurpose it so it works for the community? Or are you going to try to ask him to redevelop or refurbish the stadium or renovate it so that they stay? Because there's nothing physically wrong with that building. It's fine. I think if we could turn it 45 degrees to face downtown, there's no way anybody leaves. So I'm curious, particularly from the legislative standpoint, that this power that you do have in city council. How do you feel about this entire situation, about him wanting to leave, and have you had thoughts about what it looks like if they do leave?
So first and foremost, let me say, the White Sox and Bridgeport, we're inextricable. You said it right at the top of this segment here. It is synonymous. The White Sox are synonymous with Bridgeport. I have no desire to see them leave their ancestral home of 114 years. That being said, the White Sox are leasing the space, guaranteed rate field, and the adjacent parking lots from the Illinois Sports Facilities Authority, and they have a lease that's coming up. This is a business. And to date, the city, myself, ISFA, we haven't provided an alternative for Mr. Reinsdorf and the Sox to consider, right? So, at this point, a lot of those renderings have been released to the public. Everybody has seen the same pretty pictures that I saw. We need to come up with our own pretty pictures and a real plan for what keeping the Sox on the south side looks like. And I'm committed to doing that. And no matter what, if the Sox choose to, at some point, leave home, there's going to be a home there available, or a property available for some other, hopefully, team. And absolutely, that's a conversation with the community and stakeholders, not just in Bridgeport, but on the south side. The Sox are an anchor for the entire south side of Chicago.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're talking about businesses that are supported, fans that come to the games, and people who are employed at that stadium. So, there's a lot at stake here.
Real quick, have you met with Jerry Reinsdorf in any of these discussions about moving or staying or whatever his plans are?
I've had one meeting with Mr. Reinsdorf and Related Midwest when I was presented with the renderings and sort of what their vision was.
Let's dive into, though, because you said something kind of interesting. This is first of all, it's not a given, despite the fact that there seems to be a media push to say that this is a given, that the Sox would relocate closer downtown. There's certainly a business case for it, and I admit that, even though I'm a South Sider and a White Sox fan.
Absolutely.
They could be closer to the loop. They could have more businesses. But as Mario pointed out, Roosevelt's a parking lot. You know what I mean? If you put another stadium there, you're going to have extreme infrastructure problems along that area.
Oh, I live in Chinatown. I'm very familiar.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a mess. So one of the things that interests me, and I'm sure you've been thinking about this, and I hope you can share some of this with your listeners, the parking lots around the stadium have been disused for some time, or
acres of parking.
underused, I should say, underutilized. And I think that, it's a natural that every team owner that has looked at Camden Yards and Fenway and looked at Wrigley sees an opportunity to create a space where people come and they spend the entire day there. And there's more than just the day baseball games there to keep people there. It's a retail, it's a hotel, it's a magnet. Fenway obviously was one of the first to do this, and they did it extremely well. Credit to John Henry. I tend to think that Mr. Reinsdorf is thinking along the same way, but the thought always seems to be we have to do it someplace new. What is preventing redevelopment of those 70 acres of parking lots now, if anything, to bring businesses and to kind of start creating that critical mass that so many teams want to have?
That's a great question, Jamie, and I think that is what sort of the modern day teams are all looking for in terms of, the amenities that create more streams of revenue, frankly, when the ballpark isn't being used. And, I think to say that the parking lots and our stadium are underutilized, I think is a fair enough statement to make. Why we haven't done anything thus far, it's a great question, and one that I'm looking forward to the conversation about what we're going to put there, because it's clear to me that we need to have a real conversation about redevelopment right now.
It would absolutely change the perception of the neighborhood. Folks who are still kind of don't want to come into Bridgeport. It changes the way the repurposed ballpark would serve the community, because he's got 70 acres of parking he's doing nothing with. And, not that I'm talking out of school, the team isn't that good. And unless they were that good, you're not going to fill up 70 acres of parking.
Right.
And even when they were that
and
good,
when they weren't, they couldn't.
Right. They couldn't.
So I wonder too, especially being in the position that you're in, if he doesn't do it and they don't move, even though it may look like they're going to, they don't necessarily have to. If they don't move, does that create a different conversation between you and the city and Jerry Reinsdorf about redeveloping the community around the stadium?
I don't think it necessarily changes. Look, we are a long way from the 78 being any sort of real reality, right? We've already acknowledged that. And to my knowledge, there isn't a backup plan to that. And I think that we need to provide a compelling reason. And I think that, so regardless of whether or not he chooses to right now or not, we have to evolve. So it doesn't necessarily change the calculus on my part in terms of my priority is this community, right? And what's going to be best for the economic vitality of the community, as well as, our relationship to this team, which is, like, I'm sitting in here. You guys can't see it unless you're on the Lumpin.tv, but there's Sox hats all around me right now.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little left out. I should have worn mine. Look, we want to keep the team. I think that the team's staying on the south side, and right now this conversation about when the lease is over and what happens next, it's a great time to be having this conversation. And this is a conversation that we need to have multiple times with the community about what their vision is for the future. What would they like to see that we don't have today? What do we need in the community? What would we like to see? What would we like to be able to walk to? I think our transportation is top notch. Right, we're right off the Red Line, we're right off the Dan Ryan, and we've got a Metro stop there as well. Not to mention the 35th Street bus, and
the Green Line too,
and the Green Line,
and the Orange Line,
and new bike lanes.
Yeah.
Yep. No, we've got a lot. Just to kind of follow up on that, let's just say that the Sox do make a mistake and leave the south side of Chicago, which I think would be candidly a bad thing for the team to do for a number of reasons. I think it's a bad look to take, frankly, a historically African-American team out of its home that's had a huge support on the most populous side of Chicago. I struggle to see Major League Baseball going along with that, to be quite candid with you. And I think when citizens in the city of Chicago realize that's what's going on, that is going to change the tenor of the conversation, because this team is so anchored in the black experience here on the south side that when people realize that could be taken away from them, as we've seen before in other places, the outcry is pretty large. Having said that, there have been talks about having maybe other teams come in. And one of the things that was interesting to me, a buddy of mine and I were talking about it, and his point was, it'd be interesting to see a soccer team come in. And I said, oh, why would that be? And he said, well, the truth of the matter is the neighborhood's changed so much. We're now in the first majority Asian ward. And the most popular sport, last time I looked in China, was soccer. Second, I think, is basketball.
Mm-hmm.
The ward dynamics have changed so much from the days when I first moved here and we started, this entire radio station. This used to be a very kind of monochromatic community. And now it's the most diverse and probably trending youngest in the city. Is there an argument to be made that maybe something new does have to come in there, and that even if the Sox do leave, that's not necessarily a bad thing for Bridgeport? It doesn't kill Bridgeport's psyche at all because there's other opportunities on the table.
Well, nothing's going to kill Bridgeport. Let's just say that first and foremost. Yeah, and I think we have to plan for every contingency. As you said, the Sox have a choice in all of this. And whether or not we can provide them with a compelling enough choice to stay, we still need to make the argument to somebody to be in this stadium and to help us to reimagine what the 35th Street corridor looks like east of Normal.
We're with Alderman Nicole Lee of the 11th Ward here on News from the Service Entrance. And I don't want to get off the stadium topic quite yet. There's one more bit of stadium stuff I want to ask, and that would be about the Chicago Bears. And that's the larger picture of them maybe being serious about trying to stay in the city. There's a $198 million difference between the Bears and Arlington Heights and the county on the property tax issue. $198 million. I don't have it, but it's not a lot for the Bears. I'm pretty sure of it because NFL teams make a lot of money. It would be an opportunity for the Bears to own a stadium and control everything around it and getting all the money and being able to sit on money for a long, long time. That being said, there are parcels of land in Chicago, not necessarily downtown, that the Bears could move to. Has there been any discussion that you know of within the city council or within those circles about keeping the Bears in Chicago? Serious conversations about keeping the team in town because of the revenue that they generate, and maybe investigating some of those Southland properties further down 41, which could hold a stadium. Has there been any conversation about any of those things?
And just to add on, because there is an important thing that maybe listeners don't know about, there is a pot of money that either the Sox or the Bears could use, but both of them can't use it.
Right.
It's
a race
one or
right
the
now.
other. It's a race to use a specific amount of money that is available for stadium redevelopment. So when these conversations are happening, I guess in your opinion, and maybe this is what Mara's asking as well, kind of who's got the lead here? Where are the conversations going in the city of Chicago?
So to be clear, I'm not aware of any conversations among my colleagues at this point regarding the Bears stadium endeavors. I do think that it's incumbent upon us as a city to look at this holistically. There are multiple teams looking for stadiums right now. All right, so there's the Sox, there's the Bears, and I understand the Fire are also looking for a home. So, and we have two existing stadiums that last time I checked are in pretty good shape. So, as an elected official, I think, there's a definite fiscal responsibility that is always ever present for us. And I think we have to think long and hard about how resources are used. Obviously, we want to be able to generate revenue for the city all around, because that's good economically for us to have teams that are thriving. But at the same time, we need to look at this holistically.
Yeah. Not a lot of time left because I know you got to go soon. How are things going in your relationship with Mayor Johnson?
I have a good working relationship with Mayor Johnson. We don't talk and catch up on the weekends or anything like that, but right. I enjoy a good working relationship with the mayor. I think that one of the things that I said to him early on was, look, we're all adults here. We're all elected officials. I think there are going to be times when we can, when we'll agree on things, we'll work together to do great things for the city, and then other times where we'll just have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And both of you, in a weird way, are kind of political novices. In a sense, both of you guys came from the private sector.
Right.
He was an unexpected mayor, and in some ways, you were an unexpected alderman too. Have you guys talked about that? Does that, does that shared experience inform any conversations that you have with him?
That actually hasn't come up between the two of us, oddly enough. But I agree. I don't want to call myself an accidental alder.
Well, you won your race, so
I won my race. It's no longer yes.
But when you started out, I mean, the situation was strange.
Yeah.
And you were nominated and thrown in there and had a very unusual process to get into the office.
Yeah. I think. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that there's definitely some similarities in that, where we're sort of coming from and what we've been thrust into. I tell him almost every time I talk to him that I don't envy his position.
There are a couple of things that are on the table in City Council that I definitely want to get to before you leave.
Sure.
One of them is the City Council, I imagine this happened today, rejected an arbitrator's disciplinary ruling for police officers for a second time. Where are we on that?
So you are correct. I zipped over here from the city council meeting today where the police arbitration contract was rejected again by a little bit more than 3/5, which is the required amount to reject a contract offer like this. So I believe that where that leaves the city at this point is pursuing legal action to appeal this arbitrator's ruling.
And then the second thing, and this is it's contentious, I think, in that it was a campaign issue for Mayor Johnson, and that's ShotSpotter. And for clarity's sake, is it about keeping ShotSpotter because of its effectiveness, or is this about the contract extension of ShotSpotter because he wanted to get rid of it? And now it's going back and forth again of whether he gets rid of it or is the city going to extend the contract with it? Is there a way to gauge the effectiveness of ShotSpotter juxtaposed to wanting to keep it, or is this solely about we're keeping it, we're just having a haggle over the money?
I think that answer is going to vary depending on who you're talking to, Mario. In my estimation, look, as an alderman, I think it's incumbent upon each of us elected officials to ensure that public funds are being used in an effective and in a responsible manner. So I think every single contract should be looked at under that microscope, whether or not it's delivering value at the end of the day. That being said, my belief is that ShotSpotter is an important technology, a tool in the tool belt of Chicago police officers. We are still short on staff compared to where we were just a few years ago. I think to the tune currently of about 1,800 police officers. Mm-hmm. The department is stretched all the time. And what ShotSpotter does is it's an extra set of ears on the street when shots are fired. Oftentimes, we're not getting police calls. We're not getting 911 calls when shots are fired. But when ShotSpotter picks up gunshots, what it's detected as gunshots, police resources are deployed to that area. A couple weeks ago, there was a shooting, an attempted carjacking in Inglewood. Mm-hmm. And food delivery person was shot in the chest. Nobody called the police. It was police responded because of ShotSpotter. He was a resident of the 11th Ward, and unfortunately, by the time the police got there and medical assistance was there, they got him to the hospital, but it was too late. Ariana Preston, an officer, shot on her front doorstep. ShotSpotter picked that up. ShotSpotter allows emergency resources to be deployed to the site of where gunshots have been heard, regardless of whether or not someone has phoned it in. So, to me, without having, I think, a more robust conversation with the police and really agreement on, what will replace this technology that has provided a helpful resource. Every police officer that I talk to tells me what the value is of ShotSpotter and that they love this technology. And it's not even just for the sake that police resources are being deployed. Sometimes people don't want to call the police because they don't want to be identified as the person that knows who shot the gun off. Right. So we have challenges here. So I really strongly believe that ShotSpotter is something that is of value And I would love to see the city continue.
Yeah, I mean, just to not even play devil's advocate, I guess the argument against it has been that 90% of ShotSpotter cases don't lead to an arrest, but that seems to be missing the point in a way. How effective? I mean, you obviously talk more with the commanders than either of us. How effective do they see ShotSpotter being?
I think that I know because I've talked to people about this, that they see absolute value in it. Does it lead to arrest? No, we have the evidence about that. But it is everything else that it does that is not being talked about that really is the value to the officers that are on the front lines of this every day.
It's a drop in the bucket. We're talking $10 million, right?
Right.
It's a very small part of the budget. Am I correct in that?
Compared to the entire police budget, I would agree.
Yeah.
Alderman Nicole Lee of the 11th Ward. Every time you come down, it is a good time. Thank you for stopping by.
Well, thank you for having me.
If you could get a proclamation that I am the unofficial mayor of Hyde Park, I'd really appreciate it.
I'm going to work on that for you, Mario.
Talk to Alderman Robinson,
I will.
Alderman Yancey, and be like, do you guys know Mario? They will say yes. Let's make that happen.
And we'll co-sponsor it together.
That's what I mean.
All right.
There you go.
That's what I mean.
Just right after the Lumpen Radio Day proclamation.
There you go.
Yes.
That's the other one.
Well, you have to tell me when Lumpen Radio Day is. Do you have an anniversary coming up?
Passed already.
It passed, yeah.
It was in, I want to say in November.
November is technically when we came on the air, November 1st.
So how many years then?
7?
Yep.
7 years, yeah.
Okay, well.
And I've been here all of them.
Yeah, 7 years we started. I'll let you know when it's our 8th anniversary.
Okay.
Get that.
Eight's a great number.
It is.
Especially in Asian culture. So happy Lunar New Year. I'm going to get that in while we're at it.
Yes, and I can't say it in Cantonese, but I hope you get rich.
Oh, you saw that too.
Yes, I did. Ronnie Chung is
Gong Hei Fat Choi.
That's it. Gong Hei Fat Choi.
Yes.
That's it. I hope you get rich.
I will. And come to the parade on Sunday in Chinatown. I am the Grand Marshal.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
There you
And
go.
of course, afterwards, we've got it at Mars, too. Remember the
Yes.
Lunar New Year night thing, too. So if you guys are still able to get out and
If the beauty of Pinktown Park has not kept you,
That's right.
Gosh,
hang out.
All right.
Thank you
so
so
much,
much.
you guys.
it's great to see you, Nicole.
Great to see
Thank
you too. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Alderman Nicole Lee of the 11th Ward here on News from the Service Centers, the radio show. Got a lot to catch up on, and we'll be back after these words.